Everybody, welcome to, yeah, you guessed it, another video. So today we're having a little look, we're doing one of our little comparison videos, and we're having a look at the Meiji Finer Force. This is the what they call the Type B, which is actually a 1.6 tip. It's their dedicated clear version or gun for clear coat in the Finer Force range. They're all capable of spraying clear coat, but this is seen as the sort of like the faster version of the Finer Forces for clear coat. Or they do a WB version with a 2.0 tip, which I have used for clear coat, and it's absolutely mental. It's really good fun. But it does put out quite a lot of material, so it's not for everybody. But if you like a laugh, it does produce a really good finish at quite a speed for what is a MIDI gun, really. So we're putting that up against the direct Iwata equivalent, which is the Kiwami1, which is the newer version of the W101, and that's also in 1.6. That's with the B12 cap. Both of these guns in this range, in the case of the Iwata guns, there's actually a huge range of Kiwami1s. These are gravity fed side cup guns. There's, off my head, there's about 11 in the range, so there's one for every task basically. But the B12 version is recognized as their sort of fast clear coat version. Now, one of the things I'm going to put on the front of the video is these guns are actually good for relatively small compressors. Now, when I say relatively small compressors, let's quickly just run through the actual the air consumption of these guns. Now, the Kiwami1, the B12, is reckoned by Anest Iwata to need about 1.8 bar. I run mine at about 1.9 bar. When we do the first pass, you'll notice I do it at 2 bar, and it's too much really. Put it down to 1.9, it actually works fine, but they recommend 1.8 bar, and it still works very well at that. So at 1.8 bar, which is about 25-26 psi, Anest Iwata reckon that it consumes around about 7.5 CFM, which is about 220 litres per minute. It's just under 7.5 CFM, it's just over 7 CFM, which isn't particularly high. I mean, it's lower than any full-size gun I can think of, including the cheaper Chinese guns like the R500, etc. So it's actually, these are a good compromise for smaller compressors. And in the case of the Meiji, it's actually less. It's actually 6.7 CFM according to Meiji, and that's at 2 bar, so 29 psi, because the Meiji does like a little bit more pressure. So both of these are around 7 or less CFM, so around 200 litres per minute of air, which is actually not too bad at all, because they put out quite a lot of material. The Iwata Kiwami1, Iwata reckon about 155 millilitres of material per minute, and the Finer Force is reckoned at about 180 millilitres per minute of material. So that'll be clear coat, because that's mainly what these guns are designed for. So a normal MS or a HS clear coat at the given specification for the manufacturer of the clear coat, it will be around about, if you think to yourself, between 160 and 180 millilitres per minute, and you compare that to something like the WS. I mean, I wasn't sure, but I just looked up the WS before I did this video, and the WS 400 in a 1.3 HD, which is actually 1.325 millimeter tip, Iwata reckon about 220 millilitres output. So these are not far off a full-size gun output. In a MIDI gun, they're a bit more than a mini gun, but in a MIDI gun format. So people often overlook guns like this because these will do the side of a car if you want them to. You'll see when we get spraying the panel that it's actually, you know, these things move along at a pretty reasonable pace. Those that are new to the videos will see I'm microwaving the clear coat. Just a quick disclaimer, I'm sure you're not supposed to do it, and I'm sure it's not safe to do it, but it's something I do, and it does work very well. I'll put a link in the description as to why I do it, because it does actually help the clear coat run out better. And as I say, if you have a look in the link in the description, and it is worth knowing this, and it is worth looking at that just to see the difference it makes. But it does make effectively the clear coat flow out better, and it obviously helps it to go off as well in colder conditions. Now, when I did this video, it was 5 or 6 degrees, 6 degrees Celsius, which is going to be what, about, what's that, about 40, yeah, about 42, isn't it? 42 Fahrenheit, something like that. So quite cold, not freezing cold, but quite cold. So it helps to actually speed the drying process or curing process of the clear coat, helps it to flow out more, and it just generally makes it much easier to use in colder conditions. Of course, if the ambient temperature is 25-30 degrees Celsius anyway, you're not going to need to do any of that because the clear coat will be at that temperature or thereabouts anyway. But it does, yeah, it does definitely help. So going back to the two guns, these are direct competitors really. The Kiwami1 is actually, it's about, percentage wise, about 20% cheaper than the Meiji. What you get with the Meiji, it is the build quality is actually exceptional. This is, and I'll say it again, I know people that watch the channel will know I keep saying this, this Meiji gun, or not this Meiji gun because that's actually the Kiwami1, but when we get to the Meiji gun, it is probably the best made of all the Meiji guns without a shadow of a doubt, followed next by the finer core. But all the finer force guns are actually superbly made. Having said that, I did get a problem with one. I'll try and put a link in the description if I remember to, but it was easily fixed, and it was good to see that they actually made spare parts for it, small spare parts, rather than like with the Iwatas you have to buy a complete sub-assembly, which is effectively the nut at the back. You can buy the parts individually on the Meiji, which I thought was a really good thing. Yes, it's a shame it had a problem, but it was good that you could, you know, if it was out of warranty, you could fix it quite easily. Now, I got this from a company called paintingtool.jp. I'll put a link in the description. If you're in the UK, there is actually a UK importer for Meiji now that sell all the, well, they sell some of the Meiji range. It's a company called BSS, so Beyond Surface Solutions. Again, I will put a link in the description if you want to go to their website. They've got a website, it's meiji.co.uk, which is quite easy to remember. And yeah, I mean, check it out. I was just pleased that somebody had actually decided to bring these in officially into the UK, because I'd only found them make about 3.5, maybe 4 years ago now, and I was quite taken aback just how good they were and how well made they were. So yeah, it's just good to see that somebody's bringing them over anyway. The Kiwami1 I also got from Painting Tools Japan, which is the gun we're using now, and that isn't available in the UK, so you would have to import that from Japan. Again, as I say, I got it from Painting Tools Japan. There's a link in the description. They've always given me good service. I do buy all the guns, I don't get anything for nothing. I got a De Vilbiss towel, actually. They put a De Vilbiss towel in one of the parcels for me. So yeah, I did get something for nothing, but I certainly didn't get the guns for nothing. You would have also noticed that I had to tighten the tip up on this. I never, it was about a minute and a half back, I never actually do my tips up too tight. I don't like to over tighten them, and sometimes I'll just do them up hand tight. Most of the time, for most of the guns, it will be okay, but occasionally it just doesn't. You'll normally get a little bit of fluttering, and if you bother to take the top off the paint cup, you'll see some air bubbles going into the cup. It's just where it's literally going under the seal of the tip, so it comes into the paint track effectively, because all guns actually they effectively draw the material through, so it creates a back pressure that sucks the material out. You get an element of air coming around the outside of the tip, but most of it is drawn through via the cap. So when it comes out of the air horns, it effectively sucks the material out. That's how you actually get it out. It isn't forced out by the air behind it. So there's two separate tracks on a gun, one obviously for the air and one for the fluid. And if the tract with the fluid isn't completely sealed, you will start to get air seeping back in, because there's a certain amount of back pressure that comes back because the cap is effectively slowing the air down coming out. And if something's not tight, or the seal isn't right on some things like the SATAs and things like that, if the seal isn't right, you get the air coming back through, and that's when you'll get bubbling in the pot and things like that. I think you'll agree the finish that both of these give out was absolutely superb. This is the Kiwami1, and what actually, I've got, people will know that watch the channel, I've got quite a lot of spray guns. I've got a hell of a lot of spray guns, in fact, I've got a stupid amount of spray guns, but it means that I don't get a chance to use all of them that often. And some of the guns, like these two, you sort of put away and you might not use them for 3 months. And then I think to myself, it's normally prompted by a few messages on Instagram or Facebook or on here on YouTube. Somebody will ask me something about a Kiwami1 or the Meiji or something like that, and then somebody else will ask, and then I'll get another one. It'll be like 3 questions in a week and a half, and then that will make me think, well, I need to hook those out and give them a try again. And it often means that I'll think, well, I'll make a comparison video, because as I said at the start, these are directly competing against each other. So it just triggers me into getting the guns out. And what I found with both of these guns is I'm just surprised at how good they are. Bear in mind that these things aren't, in the scale of things these days, yes, compared to the cheap Chinese guns, the things you can buy for $35–40 US, yes, they are expensive. But compared to your high-end guns, and by that I'm thinking of like the DV1S, the Vilbis, the Walcom Ego 190, which I don't actually particularly like, but I'm just thinking of that because the price is right up there now. I mean, in the UK itself, about 400 GB pounds, which is about $520 US. These things are half that price, if not less, in the case of the Kiwami1, even less. So they are very, very good value. And as I said at the start also, they're very good for small compressors. A lot of people think they want a full-size spray gun. I don't know why, because they see other people using full-size spray guns and they think, I've got all this to do, I'm going to need a full-size gun. And often guns like this are an ideal compromise for doing bigger areas and for doing smaller areas. At the end of the day, you're only going to empty a cup of 600 millilitres each time you use the gun before you have to fill the cap up. So that's sort of the maximum time you're going to be spraying. If you're going to be doing loads more than that, you'd go pressure fed anyway, because that allows you to put much more material through. I know you can get 1 litre cups for some of the Iwata guns, but it does make it quite heavy, particularly with a side cup gun. You wouldn't want one that big on a side cup gun, but they do make up to 600 millilitre side cups as well. So they make 130, make 150, they make a 200, they make a 250, they make a 400, and they make a 600. So there's plenty of scope for bigger cups if you want them, and you can get PPS adapters for it. I can't remember the name, but both these guns take exactly the same adapter because they're both a 1/4 inch BSP thread and they're both side cups, so they both take exactly the same adapter. As I said at the start of the video, I used the Iwata Kiwami1 for the first pass at 2 bar and the second pass at 1.9 bar, so 29 and 27 psi. With definer force, they recommend 2 bar. I use it at 2 bar, always have used it at 2 bar, works perfectly well at that. So 29 psi is where it needs to be. On both of them I have the fluid wide open. I nearly always have the fluid wide open when I'm doing clear coat, because a lot of the time you just want it to wet up. You want the material on, really, which isn't the same for base coat. Base coat, it all would depend what you're doing, what the substrate's like. There's lots of variations for base coat. So when somebody says to me, you know, what's your setting for base coat, it really does depend what you're doing, what colour you're doing, and as I say, what's actually underneath, what's going on. If it's a part repair, you don't want to put too much on in case you get a reaction, etc. But with clear coat, you can normally wind the fluid wide open, the fan wide open, which on both of these the fan is wide open, and just put it on, really. Speaking of fan size, you'll see that the Meiji actually has a much more squatter pattern than the Kiwami1, and what that effectively does is it makes it a faster gun. So it's probably more, well, it is a faster clear coat gun out of these two, although it's supposed to flow actually more material, which I think it does. If you one of the ideas of doing these videos is that everything is exactly the same. The panels are also exactly the same. So if you want to look at the final coat on both of these panels, and you can time it, and it will give you an idea of what a fast gun is like and what a fast gun isn't like. Something like the LPH 80 would take around about 49 to 52 seconds to do the final coat of clear. And the reason I say final coat, normally the final coat of clear is a heavier coat, so you will slow the gun up a little bit just so that you can get more material on. Yeah, around about 49 to 52 seconds. And the fast guns like your SATA 5000Bs, your Walcom 360s, 1.3 clear guns, your Segola 1.3 XLs will do one of these in about 18 seconds. So I haven't actually timed these two, but these two I'm guessing will probably be around the 28 second mark. As I say, I haven't actually looked to time it, but if you really want to, you can do that. But it will give you an idea of where these sit. And something like a WS400 would take probably around about 25 seconds to do one of these panels for the final coat. So what I'm saying about the trade-off you get by using a MIDI gun, it isn't a huge amount, really, and the benefit you're getting by using a MIDI gun, air consumption wise, is huge, because something like a WS, which is a cracking gun, but something like a WS400 uses around about 12.5 to 13 CFM of air at 2 bar, 29 psi. So it's literally half. These guns are using half the amount of air for nearly the same fluid output, and as you will see, both of them are capable of spectacular results. They really are good. Now, these are flow coats, so effectively it's a sanded down clear, so you will get a better finish from a flow coat, but I use these over base coat as well, and you can get virtually as good as flatter finish. And of course, a lot of the time you don't always want a flatter finish, although it does seem to be the thing that people ask the most out of all the questions I get. I seem to become of someone that is often asked for recommending different guns, and that seems to be the number one proviso is the flattest finish. But as you can see, both of these guns work superb. Now this is something I'm trying. If this looks stupid, it's something that somebody said to me. He said, trouble is with you guys, all you guys on YouTube do is show you a photo of a shiny paint job with clouds in the sky, etc., shining through on the reflection. What you need to do is hold something up that actually shows some writing. So that's what I'm doing, basically, holding something up that shows some writing. He said only then can you get a true sense of how much peel there is. So I couldn't see much difference, to be honest. You can see the writing quite clearly, but I'm telling you, both of these produce a super flat finish. If I had to choose a winner, I would choose the Meiji. It is more money, the build quality is much better, the finish is probably a little bit better, but I mean it's not, you know, not hugely different. I think the Meiji is probably easier to use in that it's quite flexible in that if you've got the pressure a bit higher or a bit lower, it still seems to forgive, whereas the Kiwami, as you saw at the start, if you put the pressure too high, the fan gets a bit uneven, and if you put it too low, you don't get as good a finish. So, but I suppose if you know to use it at 1.8 to 1.9 bar, then you know you can't go wrong. But all the finishes you see in these videos are always off the gun. Nothing's been touched, nothing's been polished, nothing's been sanded. You will see the odd nib here and there. Occasionally we get a run, and I'll normally tell you about that. We didn't on both of these. Both these came out perfectly well. But yeah, this is how it finishes. It's nothing's been touched. I haven't, you know, flatted it and polished it or anything. I try and get as good a finish off the gun as I possibly can for these videos, so that you can, you know, see what the gun can produce really. It was a U-Pol clear coat, a 2081, so it's not a particularly good clear coat. Had 10% reducer or thinners added to it, which helps it flow, and of course the heat. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video as always, and you keep watching them and I'll keep them coming. If you are enjoying them, maybe think about a thumbs up and even pushing that boat right out and giving us a subscription. Anyway, until the next one, thanks for watching as always. Cheers, bye bye.